We're going to return now to work we've been doing on the plight of contract drivers for courier firms. Now, Checkpoint has been told of a second case of a gun being left outside the front door of people who went home by a driver for courier company PBT. As with our report on Friday, it was a signature-required courier package. No signature was obtained. And as with our report on Friday, the package was an open view of anyone who visited the house, including children. As we looked into what was going wrong, we spoke to a series of business insiders across the courier industry who told us this may be the product of the immense financial pressure courier drivers are under as owner-operators. They buy the vans, they pay for the petrol, and they have to make it all work with the low prices courier companies charge in order to win business. Some, we are told, don't even always earn the minimum wage after expenses. The Minister for Workplace Relations insists improving the rights of independent contractors is on his to-do list. We're already seeing this with the so-called Hobbit legislation covering contract workers in film and television. Iain Lees Galloway is looking to introduce similar legislation giving other contractors the protections enjoyed by staff. And he says the current situation simply can't continue.
I don't think it is a good situation, and something we committed to before the election was to have a look at the way employment law applies to contractors such as courier drivers. Essentially, we draw a very stark distinction between employees and contractors, and whereas employees are covered by the Employment Relations Act, they're covered by things like good faith, collective bargaining. People who are contracting aren't covered by any of those things. And I think, there is a shared view these days that that's not ideal, and that we really need to find a new set of protocols that apply to these dependent contractors.
Yes, they're not even covered by the minimum wage, are they? If their costs are high and the number of jobs they're getting are low, or they're low-value jobs, these people are potentially not even working at the minimum wage.
That's right. And I think that's really untenable these days.
Minister, I've been talking to the union, although the union is not able to represent them as a collective, obviously, and to somebody who works with them as individuals, and they are describing some of the conditions that some of the contractors are working under as akin to slavery, or as close as we get to it in this country. What is the government's response to that?
Well, look, slavery is a pretty strong word, but the government's view is that there are some issues here that we need to look at. So between the film industry work that we're doing, the fair pay agreement work that we're doing could very well have an impact here. But next year we intend to get into looking specifically at this issue of dependent contractors. There's clearly some work that needs to be done, and we want to work alongside the industries that rely heavily on contracting to find a better balance to the way employment law could apply to these people.
And would that be that they could be represented by a collective?
I think that's something that we should definitely explore. That's exactly what we're exploring in the film industry, and I think we should definitely explore that possibility for other contractors as well.
What about enforcing the minimum wage, given that some of these people, once their costs have come out, would be working for less than that?
Well, it's something, again, that's something that's worth us considering as part of that work. David Parker, when we were in opposition, David Parker had a members' bill that was very narrowly targeted to the most vulnerable groups of contractors, such as people who deliver newspapers and flyers, etc., to ensure that they are given the minimum wage. Unfortunately, that bill failed under the previous regime, but that certainly gives us a basis to look at what we might do for contractors at some point in time in the future as a result of this work that we do.
So let's talk about that point of time in the future. When do you think there will be a meaningful response to this on the table from the government?
Yeah, so as I say, we want to get into that specific work around dependent contractors next year, but also the work that we're currently doing around the film industry and fair pay agreements could provide us with some ideas to work in that area. But next year it's definitely on the work program. Once we've worked up some ideas, then obviously we will have to present some potential legislative changes to Parliament. So that's obviously got to go through a process, but it is something that's on our agenda for this term.
Iain Lees Galloway.